which chooses you. Now usually how I choose my topics before I come here is that just something comes to me the week before I'm to speak, and then I start jotting down little things that relate to that, and then I do some other stuff, and it all comes together by the time I get here. But this time it was a little different. I often have lunch with a longtime spiritual teacher and friend of mine. He's been a teacher of mine since 1974, and we had lunch on Tuesday. And when we had finished, he said, "Well, what are you doing the rest of the afternoon?" He sometimes just asks me, "What do you got planned for this afternoon?" He'll say, and I say, "Well, I'm intending that an idea comes to me for my talk." I said, "It will, and it always does. I just kind of like it to come today." And he said, "I've got one for you." And I said, "Okay." He said, "Choose that which chooses you." And I said, "Oh, okay." And then, we didn't discuss it or anything. I just said, "Okay." And then afterwards, things started coming to me, that related to that. And I'll share some of them with you in a minute. But first, I'd like to ask you, when I mentioned that, choose that which chooses you, did anything come to you? Like something you already know, or an example of that?
Or just that, nothing is by accident, and everything that happens is the universe or God choosing that for you in this present experience.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah. It is. Kathleen?
I think things are, especially in relationships, there's an affinity involved. So like if I love for someone but they are totally not interested, that's probably not gonna, I might choose them but they're not choosing me. And so there is that vibration of affinity, and I think we all experience that when we meet someone. We just have an immediate connection, or we don't.
Right. Yeah, Ellery.
Can I ask you what I missed, because I had to take a short break? So.
Oh, yeah. My topic today is choose that which chooses you. And it was given to me by someone else, which is not my usual way of choosing topics, to speak about today. But when it was given to me, I chose it. It chose me and I chose it. So then I was asking people, when I say choose that which chooses you, what comes up for you, if anything? Any idea or thing come up for you?
Well, for me, when it comes to making choices, if I'm peaceful with the choice, if I'm peaceful with it, then I know that, this is the right thing to do at this moment.
Right.
And always asking for guidance in making any choice. We are, I am going to say I am not perfect, so there are times when I might forget to ask for the guidance part, but then I go back like, Lord, was that right? And if it wasn't right, help me to amend what what was not right about it.
So your feeling of peace is your signal that resonates with you, feels right to you, and is in alignment with God, source. Yeah. Rosemary.
I think of acceptance and non-resistance. Like if it's good or if it's not so pleasant.
Right.
Just knowing it's all in divine order, and let go and let God, as they say. I don't know. I seem to be in that a lot these days. At least it feels like it. Presented with things that I resist, and then I go into a process.
Yeah.
Thank
you. Ellery, did you have something then?
I did. I thought about the fact that that sometimes, well, at least I've heard sometimes that the family that you necessarily born into is not the family of choice. And so I've chosen many situations in my life where I've discovered, like this family for me is what I consider to be my family. And so I find peace knowing that, like mine, even though I'm not saying that I don't love my family, because I do love my family of birth, of course, is my family of origin, so I accept it and I live with it. But I find even greater peace sometimes with like minds who are seemingly on the same journey as I'm on, so I can appreciate it from that perspective.
I like that you also mentioned the feeling of peace. Yeah. Abby, did I see your hand
Yeah,
up
I was
there?
just thinking when things really suck, they usually end up working out all right in the end.
They do, don't they? Yeah. We've experienced that over and over again, haven't we? Yeah. Okay. I love that. So let me share some of the things that came out for me, which was similar for a lot of the things that came out for you all. My first thought was non-resistance. That would indicate to me non-resistance if I was able to choose that which, chooses me. And non-resistance to me, the flip side is allowing. And pure allowing to me is unconditional love. And then I also thought about surrender and non-attachment. And the phrase, just say yes. And the title of a book that Matt Kahn wrote, Love Whatever Arises. Choose whatever arises, to choose you. And looking on the bright side. And then a couple of Bible verses. Don't judge by appearances. Because that keeps us sometimes from choosing things that choose us. Not my will, but yours be done. That came up for me. And then the phrase, belief, everything always works out for me. And then I got that the topic chose me. So if I'm going to get this, then I need to choose it. So I knew that was my topic. And then I always Google things to see, after I write my own ideas down and everything, I Google to see what else there might be about a topic that I didn't know. And when I Googled those words, nothing came up that really matched that. The only thing that came up was kind of like what Kathleen mentioned. There was a lot on choose the one who chooses you. A lot on that. Choose the person who chooses you. But nothing on choosing that which chooses you, which could be a lot of things, right? Situations and all kinds of things. So, and then I also found some related sayings. So see what you think of some of these. You don't choose your passion chooses you. You don't choose your destiny, it chooses you. You don't choose to love, it chooses you. And that's kind of like you get that feeling Kathleen said. You meet somebody and you get that feeling, or you don't get that feeling. You didn't have to think about it because it chose you. And then you don't choose a book, the book chooses you. That old thing about you go into the library and a book falls off the shelf, for you to read. You don't choose what to believe chooses you. That's interesting, yeah. Because as we grow up, a lot of beliefs choose us, don't they? From our family and from society. You don't choose your life chooses you. Now this one, okay guys, help me out with this one. I didn't really go further into what it might mean, but it says, you don't choose the beard chooses you. I had never heard that before. Maybe it's because I don't have a beard and I wasn't interested, I don't know. That's what, Eric, did your beard choose you?
Give it time.
And I guess, I found out, I said, well, when they wake up every morning, the beard is growing, so in that way, it chooses them.
I think what it means to me is, it is what it is. No matter what you do, you can only grow the beard that
Your body does.
Yeah.
Everybody can't have a big, full, giant Grizzly Adams beard.
Yeah, it chooses you.
What you got, you got.
And you don't choose a story, the story chooses you. You don't choose leadership, it chooses you. And then another one, what you choose also chooses you. So it's kind of like a mutual choice, isn't it? What you choose chooses you, you choose what chooses you. And so I knew in order for me to speak on this topic that I was going to need to explore it, experience it, and live it, to be able to share on it. And some of it I could go back and reflect on how I'd already lived a lot of it, and then I needed to also, I started becoming aware of everything that was coming up in my life this week that I had resistance to, because I wasn't immediately choosing it. So that's, and kind of like what you said, Rosemary, you notice it and you give it practice. You get practice to let go of the resistance and let go and let God. So there's a blessing in that. Over the years, I think I've gotten better and better at a lot of those things that I listed in my list to you. I've gotten better at allowing. I've gotten better at letting go of resistance and letting God. I've gotten better in a lot of those things because I intentionally practice it and choose to do it. And of course, the more you practice, the better you get. And how have I done this? I've done this by committing myself to my spiritual growth, to my ascension in consciousness, whatever that might look like to you. But I've committed to that, and by my faith that I choose and my trust that I choose, and by choosing to love myself, because I don't have to worry about loving what arises or choosing what arises or loving another person if I can love myself. Because once I get that mastered, all the other stuff just falls into place. It's easy to love everybody else and everything else, because there is only love. And a couple of days after the topic chose me, I just happened to listen to a spiritual interview on my computer from a lady, a spiritual teacher named Shelley Young. And she made an interesting distinction that I'd never thought about before. She said that many people use the terms faith and trust interchangeably. And I think I've done that a lot. And she said to her, there's a distinction. She said, faith is a belief in a power greater than you. And trust is a belief that this power greater than you has your back. And it was interesting that you chose the daily word for tomorrow, right? It was on faith, and I was listening to that, and I think it had some elements of both of her definitions in here. But I thought that was a very interesting distinction, and it really helped me out a lot, because we can have faith. We can have faith in a power greater than us, but sometimes we think, oh, well, works for them, but not for me. Or if I sin, it's not going to work. Or if I don't know how to access that, you know, or if I haven't done enough good things. But no. It's just simply the unconditional trust, belief, knowing that this power, bigger than you, source, divine energy, God, has your back. Always. Forever. In every moment. She also said that we have a lot of conditioning that keeps us from trusting. And that sometimes we might have to change some beliefs and reframe how we see trust and what it can do in our lives. And I thought about some of the beliefs that I had chosen over the years, because I wasn't conditioned growing up necessarily that way. But in fact, I guess all of these particular ones came to me as an adult. But one of the first ones was from Unity Minister Reverend Edwin Gaines, that told me faith is a choice. And before that, I would pray to God, please give me some more faith, when I felt like I was lacking in that area. You know, before I really learned about affirmative prayer. Thank you, God, for giving me more faith. But then when she said faith is a choice, I said, you know, I don't have to get it from God. Well, God in me, but, you know, a God out there. I don't have to get it from a God out there or up there or anywhere or anything outside me. I simply choose it. Simply choose it. That was a life changer for me. And I chose that belief. And another one that I got, I also believe trust is a choice. Trust in her way of defining it. And years ago, Panache Desai came here to Albany. Eric and Jerry were there. Anybody else? Were you there, Kathleen? Yeah. And spoke many years ago. And he told me once that the way out of all this is to trust. And all this being some challenging situation I was in, which I don't remember what it was. But the way out of all this is to trust. And that was another life changer, because it hit me that I don't have to figure things out. I don't have to understand this. I don't have to make anything happen. I don't have to find a way to solve this. All I have to do is trust that God has my back on this, and that God will let me know if there's action for me to take, called inspired action, if there's any to take. But God's got this, and I'm giving it to you, God. I trust. That's how it gets me out. And that's what we trust, what's happening in the world today. We trust not what's happening in the world, but we trust God's got it. And God has all our backs. And let's don't judge by appearances, but trust the divine in this. Divine transformation is happening. And Then I remembered a life-changing statement that I got from Neil Donald Walsh in Conversations with God, Book 1, where God tells Neil, if you're doubting anything, you're doubting me. Whoa, I had to think all the things I was doubting in my life. And yeah, okay, I don't think God has my back on this, or this, or this, or this. I believe in God, but I don't think God's got my back on this one. And that helped me by looking at the places I doubt and then choosing to trust God in this, that God has my back on it. That helped me even strengthen my belief in and experience with our unity affirmation. There is one power, God the good omnipotent. Because how can we doubt anything if we truly believe that, right? One power. So all those things just kept building on empowering my trust and my faith. And then Shelley Young also said, the element of trust permeates everything in your life. It affects everything. It is essential for the enlightenment process. It's essential for our consciousness raising, for connecting with your inner guidance, for harmonious, loving relationships, for discovering and living our highest purpose, for manifesting the life of your dreams, and for pioneering a new earth, which we're right in right now. Requires a lot of trust that God has everybody's back in all of this. And choosing, which you can do, choosing faith and trust, moves you into the experience of accepting and allowing. Who mentioned acceptance out here? Was it you, Rose? Yeah, I think so. Accepting and allowing. And accepting and allowing create the experience of peace, which both of you mentioned. Accepting and allowing creates the experience of peace. When we're not able to accept and allow, we're in resistance. No, not that. And that's what brings all sorts of low vibrational emotions up for us, anxiety and worry and fear. And that creates a heck of a lot of suffering. And we're human, we do it. But we're cutting back on that. We're building the trust and lowering the resistance and the suffering. And as we're understanding how important faith and trust are to the experience of accepting and allowing, we can start living our lives in more of a sovereign way. We'll be realizing and experience the freedom we've always had. We were born with freedom, we'll always be free, but we were conditioned to be blind to it a lot. And this will move us into truly experiencing that freedom. As we become non-resistant and more allowing, then we realize life is happening for us, not to us, it's happening for us. Everything is unfolding perfectly and in perfect divine timing. That timing is funny sometimes, isn't it? Often happens just in the nick of time. But we're also, as we realize our own sovereignty, we're also able to trust the sovereignty of other people more and know that they're on their right and perfect path. There's nothing to fix. They're not broken. This is important, I think, for our kids and our grandkids and our significant others and our good friends, all those people that we... And now, just think we can give up and trying to fix them and control them and everything. Look at all the energy we're going to save and time. And things are going to work out so much better. And they're going to feel so much better too, not just us. And when we choose to let go of resistance, we're surrendering our attachment to exactly what it needs to look like, how it needs to happen. We're giving that up. Not my will, but yours be done. I used to think, oh, wait, God doesn't always know what I want. That's what, I want this. I'm not sure God wants. But then I learned, oh no, God's will is so much better than anything I could ever dream up or will. So I was always able to go to that. So if trusting brings about so much good and so much good feelings and higher vibrations and everything, why do we have trouble trusting? Why is it hard to trust? Who's got an idea about that? What makes it hard for you to trust God's got your back?
Fear.
Fear. Fear that he doesn't, it doesn't, source doesn't, yeah, okay. Which is a doubt, right? Yeah, okay, what else?
Lack of self-love.
Lack of self-love, yeah.
Too much belief in the past. How things went in the past is how things are gonna be in the future, and that's not true.
Right.
Getting too
Well, the
caught
main
up
thing,
in
I think, is what you said a minute ago. I'm just not always convinced that God wants what I want.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know if I should tell him. But
Do I
I
boss
don't
God
always
around?
get my way.
Yeah, yeah.
I think a lot of people get from mainstream religion that they don't deserve to have a good
Right.
outcome.
Don't deserve, they're sinners, they're not good enough. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, all those things keep us from trusting. Our conditioning, like you said, the past. You know, we weren't always conditioned. Did you want to say something, or you just agree? That was agree.
I'm agreeing too
Yeah.
with what she just said. You know, when you have things that happen in your life that are uncomfortable, that hurt you emotionally, physically, it's like you can't understand how that's for the greater good. You just, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
ouch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You
love
get caught up in
hurts.
the circumstances.
yeah.
And our brains work in such a way that if something comes into our awareness now, what our brain does like this, although it is a process, is say, have I ever seen anything like this before? You say yes. If you say no, then you might not be so resistant to it. It's something new, you're not sure what it is. But if you say yes and it hurt, then you'll say, what is it probably leading me to? And you said, oh no, not that again. Like if you, I use this example of somebody saying, oh gosh, he reminds me so much of my ex-husband. It's like if you see this person who reminds you of your ex-husband who you're glad that you let go of, you know, then your brain says, what's this probably leading me to? Nothing good, so you don't want to meet this person, you know. You don't have anything to do with that person, you just simply judge by appearance, so, yeah. But, yeah, you've mentioned several of the things I was going to say. Most parents have not taught their children that they have an inner guidance in them, and that they can follow that and trust that, because the parents teach them to follow them and trust them to be safe. Hold my hand when we're, going across the street. Do what I want you to do, because I want to keep you safe. And it's out of an intent to love that child, but you can't worry about a child and love a child at the same time. The two energies can't coexist. So if you truly love a child, you trust God to have your back, to have their back, to guide you in what to say to that child. But most of us have been guided to do what our parents say to do. And many children then grow up to not have any confidence in themselves, or to think that they're not capable to handle their own lives. They have to get outside approval or advice or whatever. Read another book, go to another workshop. Which it's all our intention in doing these things. Nothing wrong with reading another book, going to another workshop, but if you're doing it because you think, I don't have the answers. I gotta go get the answers out here. Go out here to get the answers. And maybe we've been told that it's foolish or naive to trust. We've trusted people and they've let us down, or they've hurt us, And we feel if we trust that person again, or trust another situation like that again, we'd be pretty stupid. All those judgments we put on it. What's that saying? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice,
Shame on me.
shame on me. Well, first of all, let's don't go around shaming other people or ourselves. Throw that word in the garbage. That's very, very low vibration at the bottom of the totem pole. And that belief, if you believe that or say that, that's not going to help you build your trust. That's saying, I don't trust, and I'm not going to trust, because I don't want to look stupid, and I don't want to be hurt again. And I know I've thought to be naive by some people over the years because I am quite a trusting person. But I found when I trust people that they tend to live up to that trust. You know, however you treat another person, they tend to live up to, at least for you, in their relationship to you and their life. So I found that to work, to behold the Christ in another person or behold the Christ energy in a situation. But the key is, it's not truly the other person that I'm trusting God in them. I'm trusting God. I'm not trusting their personality, their body. I'm trusting God in them. And that's the key, because sometimes we can't trust the personality of a person, but we can trust that they can do differently and they can learn differently, and their guidance will bring them out of this, and they're living whatever they're living now for a purpose, for their own spiritual growth. And we might need to step out of their energy or not. You know, we may just need to allow them without judgment. But many people get into a troubleshooting mode, and they think if they let their guard down, something bad is going to happen. They've always got to keep their guard up and protection around their heart, you know. If you put something around your heart, then it can't always shine out that love that you are and that light that you are. And they believe that they've got to control the people and the situations in their lives. So if this is still you, that you've got to control some people and situations in your life, how's that working for you? And you don't have to answer that one for me. But just, how's that working for you, you know? Again, that takes a lot of energy and causes a lot of suffering, both for you and the person that you're wanting to manipulate or control. And we did inherit a lot of limiting beliefs that put us in a contracted state, contracted us. So look at some new beliefs you might choose. Look at beliefs that are attempting to choose you and see what you can do with those. But the more we're able to choose to trust, the more we see that trust is reliable and truly our friend, then the more we are willing and open to trust. And the more we trust, the more we get wonderful results, and the more we get wonderful results, the more confident we are to keep trusting. God has me, my back, and everyone else's. And I have an affirmation that if you're willing to believe it, can move you into the experience of acceptance and allowing and unconditional love. And that is one I've already mentioned here. Everything always works out for me. Everything always works out for me. Now, it might not always work in our timing, so we need to just trust divine timing. But everything always works out. And I use that every day, especially when things come up that choose me that I have resistance to. I don't understand this, I don't get this, but it's choosing me, and I know that everything always works out for me. So then it makes it easy for me to start looking for the bright side of that, start looking for the benefits, possible benefits in it, start looking for the positive aspects in it, and that's what I start doing. And whatever we focus our attention on, what? We start drawing to us, don't we? So if I'm looking at the bright side and looking at the possible benefits and looking at the possible surprises, like opening this Christmas package and I don't know what's in it, but it's going to be fun, you know, then I attract those things to me.